Nona Peltier has joined me in the studio to talk business. Nona, so a review of the ANZ Bank's, the New Zealand ANZ Bank missteps over the past year. It's been released. I mean, what details in that?
Well, there's been a few missteps over the past year. It wasn't the best year for the bank, that's for sure, in terms of their interaction with their customers. First of all, early on in the year, they upset the Reserve Bank by keeping too little money in their reserve, which they're hard to keep for, to reduce financial risk if there was a big downturn or what have you. And so they had not been calculating it correctly. And at that time, the chair of the bank, Sir John Key, said, it was a mistake by a junior member of staff. Okay. Then they had to get rid of their chief executive, David Hisco, who was claiming personal expenses as business expenses, which he said he was entitled to do. But somehow the directors didn't know about this. And when it was discovered, he had to go. So he left. And later it was discovered that before he went, there was also another matter of him or somebody selling a house to his wife at a very nice price. And so all these matters raise the alarm bells with the Reserve Bank, because the question is, are the directors doing their job? Like, shouldn't they have really good oversight over this?
And do we know the answer to that?
Yes, we do know the answer to that. They've been told to improve, do a much better job, because while they didn't find any wrongdoing in the sense that with David Hisco's expenses or that the transaction to his wife was at arm's length, they were still very concerned about the lack of control. They had to improve their culture, and they thought that one of the reasons why these sorts of things happened were because people were afraid to put their hand up and say, there might be a problem here. And so they need to improve. And certainly the Reserve Bank is going to be keeping a close eye on whether they do. They're going to be watched over carefully over the next year. And, it's also a lesson to other banks. So the big can be scolded, and the smaller ones better pay attention, because the Reserve Bank does, is going to take action for sure.
Okay, as we prepare for the season of feasting, food prices apparently have dropped a bit leading into Christmas. So what's cheaper, Nona?
Some things are cheaper. Strawberries, you might have noticed, are plentiful. And I was just out in the newsroom, and they are apparently quite sweet as well. Yes. Kiwi fruit, though, is a bit more expensive. So if you've got a pavlova and you want to top it up with the old, kiwi fruit strawberries, you're going to have to pay a bit more for kiwi fruit, because the price of that is up 2/3 on last year. And strawberries are down 1/3. So, those are two comparisons there. On prices can vary. Grocery prices were, very little changed as the holiday season approaches. Meat prices were also interesting. Roast pork was really, had fallen quite, I guess I don't know exactly how much, but it was the drop in roast pork last month was noticeable. Against, those prime porterhouse steaks, those prices went up. So.
Okay, so that will help you maybe plan your Christmas menu. And
what else? I'll tell you also.
Okay.
Tip: sausages and lamb chops, cheap. So if you're happy with that
prices
on the Barbie,
down on those.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
But you weren't able to inform me about one of my favourite purple vegetables, were you? What do you call it?
Beetroot.
Beetroot. Yeah,
it is a compound word.
That's the Kiwi way of saying it. Nona, beetroot. Like it's not quite how the Canadians say it. Okay, so give us a whirl around the markets today.
Okay, well, the markets are a little bit pensive ahead of the election tonight in the UK.
Okay, yeah.
So, they're holding their breath. What's going to happen there? No one really knows, I guess. And, of course, the U.S. trade talks, big deadline looming with that. And the U.S. Federal Reserve decided not to move interest rates and indicated that maybe things will stay the way they are for a while, which helped Wall Street, but didn't do a whole lot in our market. We are one of those markets that are just sitting steady, up 16 points to close at 11,308. And our dollar is trading also steady, 65.8 US cents, 95.6 Australian, and 49.8 British pence.
Thanks, Nona. Before we go, how do the Canadians say beetroot?
Beetroot.
I think you've modified your ways in our presence. Thanks, Nona. That's Nona Peltier with our business news.